Hello and welcome to episode number 8, I think, of the Catchlight Show. I'm your host, Bob McClanahan. I'm here with my guest, Pat Branch. How you doing?
Thanks.
This guy is a great filmmaker. But today we're going to kind of talk about some photography stuff. But first, a little bit, this wine, we don't have the bottle with us, but it's actually a Flora Springs Chardonnay, so thank you, Flora Springs. The show is the third Monday of every month at 4 p.m. Pacific, so you can tune in live on Toot Suite. If you don't catch us live, you can always watch us afterwards on YouTube. So we did have some questions that people had asked, so I thought we'd probably go over those a little bit. But first, just give a little introduction about yourself.
I guess I'm a visualist in a way. I do have the mix of the mountain sports and the wine stuff, doing graphic design, video, and photo.
Yeah, and that's why I really kind of wanted you to come on, because you obviously live in Napa, and it's a natural thing to do when you're in Napa to kind of get involved in the wine business. You know, I mean, that's just kind of
right.
That's what's around here, so that's kind of where you go to. But what I really like about what you're doing is you're doing like mountain biking and snowboarding and all these things that we don't have snow for hundreds of miles around here. But I love your work.
Thanks.
I love your work, and so that's kind of why I thought we might just go ahead and just talk a little bit about some of the techniques that you use.
Perfect.
And maybe some tips that you can give on how you create some of the awesome images that we will preview a little later. But right now, let's go ahead and get rid of these questions here. So, first question I had was, I just have little notes here. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. But basically, the question was, would you invest in flashes, or would you invest in fast glass? Fast glass meaning lenses that go probably below like f2.8.
Sort of both, but I'm doing much better on the lens side of that, like the Sigma Primes, the 1.4s.
Right. Love it.
Still using the Vividor 285s, the little speed lights.
Yeah.
And even in big softboxes, people at the store tell me it's not going to work. It works.
Yeah. And it can if you're...
I really want to get like the Einsteins though, but
yeah,
it really depends. Like if I have time to set up crazy lighting, I definitely go all out, but if I don't have time, I just shoot fast lenses.
Yeah.
Just wide open, high ISO.
Yeah, and I'm all for that too. Especially doing event photography, you can't really use a flash because it annoys everybody.
Well, especially like shows, it kills all the natural colors the lights are putting.
Oh yeah, no, at a
I
concert,
hate that. I see people do that, and I'm like, oh god.
No. And chances are, the flash isn't reaching that far anyway, so it's not doing anything other than disturbing the artist, up there. So it just kind of depends on what you're doing. I would probably, there's no real right answer. You're probably at some point you're going to have a flash on your camera to get the shot. But at the same time, if you kind of want kind of the more natural ambiance of it, then a fast glass.
Yeah, and like in that circumstance, you'd have to put a flash on a camera. I never shoot on camera flash. I hate it.
Oh yeah, no,
so,
I know
like,
exactly.
If I'm using flashes, they're always off camera.
Right. Yeah, if I can control it, absolutely.
Maybe like one in my hand on a pocket wizard with like a little softbox and several diffusion papers, just like that for like a event after.
Yeah.
But on camera is awful.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's never a flattering look. It's flat. It's boring. I try to avoid it at all costs. And if I do use it, then I try to stylize it.
Yeah.
In some way, where try to overcome and just embrace the fact that it is a blast of light, right?
Or like a ring light. That'd be kind of cool to play with. I like that look.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I've used that too. Unfortunately, with the ring lights, they're just not that powerful. Next question was, how much do you charge? Which is a question that I get obviously all the time. But I kind of wanted to just talk about. I'm not going to go to specifics about how much I charge, but you're more than welcome to. If you're serious. But how do you determine how much you're going to charge somebody for any given project?
Well, it's really a case by case thing. Like Usually I start with sort of the end use, and like if it's gonna go like for just website or print and website or social media as well, I sort of put together packages like what the client really needs.
Right.
So they're not overpaying and so I'm still keeping my value.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if the shots that I'm going to be doing, it's for, a party, and the images are basically low res, they're going to be going out on Facebook. It's going to be less than, this ad is going to appear, in Wine Spectator.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the value of those photos is going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
So, basically I charge, by the hour if it's for an event.
Right.
But if it's something specific, like, we're putting together this ad, it's going to be in Wine Spectator, then it's probably going to be like 1, maybe 2 shots at the most.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of like the whole package.
That's generally how I do it.
Yeah. And
for like a small event, just kind of estimate it and
Yeah.
hourly and a flat rate.
Yeah. I mean, it's fairly simple that way. So it really just kind of depends. But how do you come up with that? How do you come up with that rate? Do you think? Do you look at what others are charging and try to charge
some
the
of that?
same,
Like I talk to other people
Mhm.
who I get advice from, and then use like photo quotes sometimes to base things off.
Yeah, I've kind of settled on a pricing structure, and I try to keep it going up and up and up. But at the same time, the valley is fairly small, and so you only have a given amount of
Right.
people that need your services, and so if you keep going up and up and up, then they're just at some point they're just going to say, well, this other guy here.
Oh, I know about that.
And so it's hard to.
And there's a point where you're like giving away too much,
Right.
and losing work, and it's sort of a balance.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really just kind of, and what you get in Napa is probably going to be a lot different than what you get in San Francisco, which might be a whole lot different than what you if you were working in New York, or if you were working in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's going to be depending on your own market.
Yeah.
What your market is going to pay. So that's kind of. Anyway.
It's a big gray area.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's really tough. It's really tough to determine how much you're gonna charge. And
like with a catalog, like in sports, I factor in like, say a catalog, I'm licensing a shot. I'll factor in like how big the print run is, how big it is on the page, all that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you're kind of selling your images like for stock, then the size of the image, how much it's going to be used, where it's going to be used, all kind of goes into consideration as to how much the ultimate value is going to be for some stock agencies, and some just do a flat rate altogether. So it really just kind of depends.
Like Getty.
Yeah. Another question I had was basically, how do you stop action in low light?
First thought is just a flash.
Yeah. You can use flash, fast glass, or raise the ISO. Yeah,
well, you don't want to stop it too much. Like in sports, if you freeze everything, say a mountain biker going by, you freeze the spokes, it's going to look static and boring.
Right.
You want a little bit of movement.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's very good advice. So if you're shooting like, mountain biking or motorsports or anything where you want to show some sort of dynamic action.
So for biking, at least, like usually above 1/320th or so is when the wheels start to freeze.
Yeah, I was just going to say about 1/320th of a second is about where things start just like on if you're shooting like NASCAR or something, you want the wheels to look like they're spinning.
Yeah. Sometimes the look works. Say like this downhiller is coming through the section, rocks are flying everywhere.
Yes.
Sometimes freezing everything works.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. So, explain how you would kind of go about shooting somebody at kind of a slower shutter speed in order to get that action.
Like a 1/20th of a second?
Oh, yeah. How'd you do that?
Just steady hands and IS helps.
Do you and you pan with the person?
Yeah, I do like to do that
and
sometimes.
probably burst shooting.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
1D, 10 frames a second.
Is that what you use?
And the 5D, yeah.
This guy's balling right here. So but I mean, obviously, if it's a low light situation, and you want to actually freeze the action, and obviously it depends on how fast the action is. If it's a hummingbird, no matter what you're going to do, you're not going to stop the wings. But
or like a mountain biker versus a dirt biker.
Yeah.
We're going 3 times the speed.
So it's really kind of dependent on how dark it is, how fast they're going, and everything else. But just get the shutter speed up. That's really all it boils down to, and get it as fast as it needs to be to stop the action. It's gray, but that's really what.
In most circumstances, unless you're doing something weird and you do want things to be soft and kind of dragged out.
Yeah. Here's another one that came up. How do you photograph people while they're talking, or like giving a speech? I know this from personal experience that when people are talking, they're giving a speech, they are often, they're making facial expressions. Like in any 1/100th of a second, a person's face, especially when they're talking, is weird.
Yeah.
They've got their mouth open, they've got their tongue hanging out, they're got their eyes closed, or they might be like staring out into space,
or like
that. Yeah, exactly. It's just you just never really know what you're gonna get. So do you have any tips on?
I've done it a few times. It's really just finding the frame that looks right.
Yeah, I mean, my advice is shoot a lot.
Yeah.
Shoot a lot. You can kind of time it in some ways. You can usually get somebody while they're pausing, pausing for a thought, or maybe if they're smiling or they're listening to a question or something like that. At some point when they're not actually talking is probably the best.
Yeah.
So that's my advice there. Last question. How do you keep your photos from being stolen? What do you use?
A lawyer.
What's that?
A lawyer.
A lawyer. That will help after the fact.
Generally, if you're not putting an ugly watermark over it, they're going to be stolen at some point.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that because it just ruins your presentation?
Yeah.
It's sort of a trade-off either way.
Right.
Like my new site is going to be like a full responsive, full screen style site almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of taking a risk, but at the same time, my tiny site looks awful. I hate it. A bigger site's going to show my work much better.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth it.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opinion where if I put something out on social media, it has my watermark on it. But that's not really to keep people from stealing the image. Because anybody can just take a screenshot. And, that's it.
You really can't do anything these days.
No, you can't do anything. But at the same time, you have to get your work out there, and you got to get it in front of people's eyeballs.
And it has to look right.
Yeah. So you really, I'm opposed to having the big old watermark right down the middle, and everything, because that does detract from the image.
Yeah.
I put a little watermark down there in the lower right-hand corner. But that's mostly just for advertising, just so that when people see that image, they see that it's a link to my website.
It's really more of that than protection.
Yeah, no, I mean, because there's really nothing you can do.
All my photos have the P media on the bottom left, and it's just subtle enough that it doesn't detract too much, and it marks it as my image, so everyone knows who shot it right away.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I think that's all you can do. If you're so concerned that somebody's going to steal your image, then you're not going to be sharing the image.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I weren't out there sharing my images on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, I wouldn't have any clients.
Exactly.
That's how they find me. Is that's my advertising.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to have to kind of work through, is just getting used to the fact that your images can be stolen and used without your permission if you put it on the internet. But the offside is no one's ever going to hear about you unless you put your images on the internet. So, frankly, I don't really worry about it too much.
Yeah.
I know that there are other photographers in this valley who are totally freaked out about it.
Yeah.
But
I think only in the days of film could you really not have that happen, unless someone physically steals your negative.
No, exactly. Now
it's just impossible to really protect it.
No,
so you kind of have to just go with it. And
right. Yeah.
If it happens, take care of it.
Yeah, and it has happened to me. It's not really been stolen, but the images have been passed around from like my client. And then they share it with somebody, and then that person shares it with somebody.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it appears on the front of a magazine cover.
That's horrible.
And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. This is like 3 people removed from my client. But it's happened many times.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I've fought it. I've had attorneys involved. I've had I've sent the letters and sent invoices. I've never received a dime from any of my stolen images. People that steal your images, they're not really operating within the law anyway.
Yeah.
I think they kind of know that. Which brings me to another point, is that when people see my images, they take a screenshot of it, and then they put it in their brochure. And I really kind of get angry with graphic designers who knowingly take an image.
A lot of them are pretty careless in that sense.
You would think that they would know.
Yeah.
That they would know. I mean, it seems like I don't know.
Does their designs fall under the same copyright stuff?
Exactly. They wouldn't want their designs to be stolen by somebody else. So you'd think they would have enough respect to respect the photographer's work. But anyway, that happened to me in the past week, so that's fresh.
Well, it really helps when you're the designer, but you're a photographer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You shoot your own image just for your design.
Yeah, exactly. And those graphic designers with a camera have taken a bite out of my business, I tell you. So, well, that's it for the questions. So let's get into your equipment. So you're a Canon guy, sounds like.
For now.
With the 1DX. Now you say...
Mark 4.
What's that?
The Mark 4.
Okay.
It's like an old camera these days, but it's still a great camera.
And you shoot and you use those for both still and video.
Yeah, right now.
Okay. And actually, let's go through some of your images here while we talk about your equipment. So you Canon, you obviously have some lighting equipment that you bring with you.
Yeah, I usually bring 4 Vividar 285s.
Okay. And operated with
manual flashes.
But operated with a
Pocket Wizards.
With Pocket Wizard. Okay.
Plus 2s.
Okay. And so, are we seeing the first image there? So that's an awesome shot there. Where is that taken?
That's Mammoth by Twin Licks.
Okay. And did you set that up? Or is that just a shot?
I helped him build it. It's a jump.
Wow. All right. And so you had it in mind when you were designing it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because the way the river is right there, and I mean, it seemed like you could, or did you just want a place where you could jump over the?
Oh no,
waterfall?
He had actually been thinking about that for like 2 years. He always wanted to shoot it.
Okay.
And he called me. I flew out to Mammoth, and we went and set it up and did it.
Okay.
And the sketchiest part actually was some skiers came out as well.
Okay.
They probably shouldn't have come.
Uh-huh.
One came up a little short, almost killed himself.
Uh-huh.
Pretty sketchy. And then someone brought a dog, and the dog was running around, like, not cool when we were trying to do this and not have someone die.
Mm-hmm. And so let's go to the next shot there. And this is obviously some winery product work that you've been doing for Define Wines. So tell me about this shot. Tell me how you did this.
Do you really want to know the whole thing?
Yes. It looks like
pretty absurd.
My guess is it's a composite.
No.
No? Is the label?
It's all in camera.
That whole shot is in camera, even the defined label?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive because that's a hard label to shoot. Okay, tell me how you did this.
It was absurd. I wish someone had like the behind the scenes shot.
Yes.
Okay, so picture me in like my garage studio setup.
Right.
I'm shooting tethered to my laptop, so the images go right in there just to check it all. And I chain smoked 2 swishers to get that smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So here's like my table where my laptop is. I'm on the ground actually. Got the remote in one hand, a cigar in the other hand, and I couldn't find a hand model in time. I was like, whatever, I'm doing it.
Is that your hand?
Yes.
Is that your hand in the glove?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's all right.
So picture me checking my laptop up there, switching between cigar and remote, and holding the damn thing, and so I'd be like,
right,
click. And look at the monitor again. It's ridiculous. And it took like an hour and a half. I was kind of lightheaded after.
Yeah. So
I actually had to Photoshop out arm hairs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So how many lights do you have here? Is there? Because it looks like there's one from underneath.
Basically 3 light sources.
3. Okay. All right, tell me how you do this, because it looks like 2 strip lights on either side.
Reflectors and flashes hitting them.
Okay.
From the back.
Okay. And then, how's the smoke lit?
Oh, that was just kind of the light coming off the reflectors behind it.
Okay. And then, how did you light that label?
Flashlight. I wanted a really narrow beam to hit that.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
I had it taped to a tripod.
And that's what's lighting the bottom of your hand.
Actually, 4 lights.
Okay.
Actually, that's my phone under there.
That's crazy.
It was the phone's flashlight actually, and then I just warmed it up in post.
You ask. That's impressive. That's impressive for doing that all in camera.
I prefer to do in camera. I think it's
without
more fun.
Without any assistance. That's pretty impressive. All right, let's go to the next shot. And so, was this the final shot, or is this just the behind-the-scenes shot?
That was intended to be the behind-the-scenes look. So I had this extra softbox, just threw it on the ground to make it look messy. Had a lens laying on the tailgate, the box, and the laptop there. Just wanted sort of a behind-the-scenes, but still, I don't know, high-class, bright look.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome shot. And that's... and he's holding the bottle, but that's not the actual shot. I mean, you're not taking. Because I see no camera.
Oh no, that
was
just
shot.
that shot.
So he's just kind of modeling.
Yeah.
For this shot, okay.
Just sort of random behind the scenes look.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you go out with him when he was doing his harvest and do some?
Oh yeah, this past one we filmed, and I'm gonna release the video pretty soon.
Okay.
Just need to do titles.
Awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. And you are obviously a mountain biker, so you have a detail shot of the XTR derailleur there. Shifter? It's been a while.
That thing's actually a little messed up now. There's a little post next to the screw. It seems to have ripped out, so I'm going to try to JB weld it and get it running again.
Okay. And you said you had 4 bikes.
Yeah.
So you are you a bike collector? Or do you just ride that much, and you need a specialized bike for each situation?
A BMX bike, a hardtail for like dirt jumping, street, slalom racing, little cross country bike, and then a downhill bike.
Downhill, okay. Yeah, I used to be a big old mountain biker back in the 90s. It was kind of funny when you posted a video just like yesterday or today of like some old school mountain bikers, and that was my era.
Well, I started
back when there was no suspension at all, and your suspension was putting like 20 pounds of air in your tires,
and just your arms and legs, and that's it.
Oh yeah, exactly. So
I started on a 24-inch Gary Fisher rigid bike, just like that.
Yeah.
In like '97.
Yeah. So that was actually kind of fun to watch that.
Some of those are brutal crashes, like 540. The guy just losing it.
Oh yeah.
After the stairs.
And you know what's kind of funny is that watching those guys, they weren't really like doing anything difficult or anything else.
They're just going fast and getting out of control.
Yeah, with all those old brakes and everything else. So anyway, and this shot is very cool. And what I wanted to talk to you about is what I've noticed in the next few images is that you are using, looks like you're using strobes outside in order to capture some of these images.
The hardest part was at about noon.
Yeah.
You see the shadows on the left?
Sure.
I hated it, but I did make it work in the end.
And you're just using just a single speed light?
285s, yeah.
Wow.
One with a little softbox, and then one just by itself, I think, off to the left.
Okay. That's awesome. And let's go to the next image.
That jacket popped. Like, go back for a second. One of the biggest things with snowboarding or biking is colors. Like, the girls are smart. They'll show up like pink or orange or some crazy blue or something.
Yeah.
The guys show up, and I'm like, what are you thinking? They're wearing like black or brown or gray or something absurd.
Sure.
Like this one time I tried to get her out of my green jacket, and it was like 10 degrees outside. I'm in a t-shirt, but I wanted him to pop.
Okay.
And he tried to wear it, and coming off the jump, this like natural jump we found behind Park City, he just could not move in the air. The thing was like way too small on him.
Oh.
So he put his back on, and I got him through this little hole in the trees, and it sort of worked.
Okay.
But yeah, colors are important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
that Roxy jacket, I couldn't believe how much it popped.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think that's a good, lesson for any photographer to learn is how to separate your subject from the background.
Yeah.
And, you can do it with color, you can do it with contrast, you can do it with focus, but you got to do something.
I was thinking about the elements, like what's the most important element in the frame.
Right.
Maybe it should have some color, maybe it should be lit up so it pops and it's the first thing you see.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so these, were you actually at night?
Yeah.
Or close to it?
I love shooting it. That's like 2 in the morning or something.
Wow. So how was he able to?
I had some continuous lights going so we could see, and the flashes just overpowered them.
Okay.
That's how I usually do the snowboard and bike stuff at night.
Yeah. No, that
Even then, it's hard, though, because they see that flash, and everything is black for a second after the flash. I've done it.
Yeah, I know exactly. But you're not necessarily shining it, I noticed you're not necessarily shining it in their face. You're kind of shining it from the side or even from the back. So it shouldn't be too bad. But what I love about these, now I'm going to talk to you about what you're doing here. So, and then where was this taken?
Right above Yountville on the east side.
Okay.
That little trail by the dam on the right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Let's go to the next one. And yeah, so a couple more of the, the off-camera flash. And bare speed lights, or are these with in a softbox?
The right one had, I think, 2 softboxes. The left one had just a mini softbox and a bigger one from the back. No, I think it was just 2 mini softboxes on the left. The front one was really low, just enough to give a little detail up front.
Yeah.
That was a night race in Fontana.
Wow. No, those are awesome. I love it because there's a look that you don't see.
Yeah.
In your typical mountain biking shots. So
I like to make it look like night. Like the other photographers there, they shot it and it looked like daytime again. Like just kind of overlighting it all.
Oh,
I think it should look dark. It should look like night.
Yeah, no, exactly. So just another little product shot there of some sort of orangey drink.
Something. It was for my dad's website rebuild like 2 years ago. He was an alcohol beverage lawyer. Okay.
And so what I wanted to talk about with that one a little bit was just the fact that, well, one of the things was how you lit it. Obviously, because I think what some people lose when they're shooting beverages is that there needs to be a light from behind.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give a little bit of glow.
Or under or something.
Something, just because you want the liquid to shine. Because if you're just lighting the liquid from the front, from the sides, it's flat, it's ugly.
Yeah.
So.
I try to do anything I can to just keep it dynamic and not flat.
Yeah. And this shot here, this is just totally awesome. So again, obviously lit with, looks like multiple lights.
Two.
Probably on this. Just two?
Umbrellas on each end.
Wow. And how are you on? So the flashes are manual. Are you shooting on manual, or what's the secret sauce for? What's your camera settings for like a shot like this?
Maybe they were flashes, so they're pretty bright. Maybe like 800 ISO, 500 ISO. Mm-hmm. Maybe like 250th probably, because that's the max you can sync with the +2s.
Okay.
And then aperture maybe like
4
or something.
If you were shooting a 250th of a second during the day and not using flashes in a shot like this, he'd probably be blurry.
A little bit, yeah.
But with the speed lights, they basically stop the action.
Yeah, they do.
So it's such a
everything.
Yeah, so you don't really have to worry about shutter speed too much.
Yeah.
When you're shooting with speed lights, because they just create such an instantaneous, flash of light.
It also depends how they're set up. Like sometimes if you just have one, you might get some blurring this way if that part's not freezing.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. And so the last shot here looks like is that another Define Wines ad there?
David James and Carrie.
Yeah.
Valentine's night.
Okay. And so San Francisco?
Yeah, the Galleria Park Hotel.
Okay. And then so it looks like you just have one little light there, just kind of shining on them.
I forgot lights that day, and the hotel was able to find us one floodlight. So I just plugged it into the huge extension cord and stretched it out as far as I could, and played with the angle until it worked.
Awesome. Awesome. Good work. It's awesome because you're finding creative ways of doing your lighting, and you're kind of stretching the limits, and I love that about you, because there's actually, around here there's not too many people who are doing that.
That's cool to hear.
They're relying on natural light and just kind of doing. There's not a whole lot of people that are very creative. I shouldn't say that. But anyway.
No, but this shot, I actually climbed up on this trellis thing in dress shoes. I didn't think I could do it. I did. So I was like 12 feet up on this wooden thing for like 20 minutes, just holding all over, getting weird angles, and came together.
Awesome. So where can people find you?
Napa.
Online.
My website, Facebook, Twitter.
What's your website name?
Which one? My main one is patbranch.me.
Okay.
It goes to all my websites.
That'll get you wherever they need to go.
All my Twitter, all my networks is on there. Okay. Are on there.
Cool. And I'm Bob McClanahan. You can find me at napasphotographer.com. You can also tune in here live on the third Monday of every month at 4 p.m. Pacific. And I guess that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That went fast.